1 million march today, and we're just getting set up, and we should have some speakers soon, and the march is at 11. So stay tuned, and let me get my stuff set up here.
Palestinians are setting up a rally. They want a confrontation from the Prime Minister's office.
Fantastic.
So I'm gonna bike down and see what's happening over there.
That doesn't sound right, though. They want a confrontation?
They got the eye in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Palestinians have not been
Well, it's
demonstrating.
the cops that have the eye in the sky. Yeah.
The Palestinian once Biden called Hamas a terrorist organization, all the free money to organize all these rallies dried up.
Okay.
Good stuff.
So I was just, well, you probably just heard that guy. He was sharing that the Palestinian crowd are gathering down the street and anticipating a confrontation. So we'll stay tuned for that. Just bear with me. I'm just getting my stuff here set up. We'll spin you around to show you the stage. Where's the spin around button? There we go. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Parliament Hill. Welcome to the Million March for Kids. Welcome. We're going to start gathering here towards the stage. We're going to need our sound tech to come up here and turn on the sound system. If you'll report to the stage, please. And everybody, welcome. Thank you for coming. You're in the right place. You're doing the right thing. And we are moments away from starting. Good morning. Welcome.
Sorry about that. Hello, good morning, Railroaded. What else do we have here this morning so far? Good morning, Matt Prevost. You're very welcome. We are going to be attempting to cover it both via live stream, which will be, the quality might get fuzzy every once in a while. We'll apologize in advance for that. But we are also going to be recording it in high def. Good morning, Monique. Good morning. We have a head camera going on today. Try something a little bit new. So that way this evening I can try uploading this video from today's events. Unfortunately, where I am situated for the night, the cellular signal is absolutely terrible, so it takes forever to load a video. Monique, thank you very much. Everyone, please do share it out so we can have lots of people watching this live today. I'm just getting things set up. Got to get our backup battery hooked up so we don't run out of juice today. Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm okay. How are
Good.
You today?
Living the dream, thank you.
I hope you wake up to the truth someday.
I hope I will too.
Have a great day, guys.
Good morning, Canada RV. So everyone, we're just getting set up here. We're going to have some speakers come up soon. We're looking for the guy that knows how to run the sound system to get that turned on. And I guess then we'll start having a few people speak. And apparently at 11 o'clock, we're going to go for a march. I've heard a couple people say there's some counter protesters that we might march into. But they have extreme police presence here today, so I'm not expecting any problems. But only time will tell.
I can drink. Very good. That's good. Must be fast food stuff. You want everybody kind of back into the line?
Yeah. Like I said, keep walking that way. Okay? Turn around. And walk that way. No, these people are allowed here. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll stay. I'll stay.
Yeah, right. 8 o'clock. If there's like you want this?
I may. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to check.
Hey, just reading that last comment from Railroaded. If you can touch
Starting to
toes
come
with
in, guys.
Lynn,
Hey, Lila.
she live, but it's a steady buffer. Is she close to you? I don't know where she's at. How's my stream so far, everyone? Good morning, Rob. How's the picture look? How's the audio? If it gets windy, let me know, okay? I do have my noise reduction microphone here,
Parliament backdrop.
but when I use it, it does make it harder to hear everybody. So, how am I buffering? Are you guys okay there? And it will likely buffer today. There's going to be so many cameras soaking up the cellular strength that that is why I will plan on recording it.
I got ones coming from Turkey.
I'll show you in a second. We've got our head cam on today, so we'll have all kinds of angle here today. Coffee is our friend. Good morning, Dee. Welcome, 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 everyone. We're here on Parliament Hill. I'll give you a 360. You can take a look around. There's where the stage is, where we're going to get some people talking. And then behind us is where we have some people starting to gather. So we're scheduled to go for a hike at 11 o'clock. And like I said, there's already a couple of those colorful people over on the streets gathering up. So check it out for you guys so I could get some good high quality content today, because last year when we did this march, there was quite a bit of buffering happening. We got really lousy quality. So today,
Check, check.
we got the head.
Hear me okay?
Thank you very much, Railroaded. I appreciate that feedback. So everyone, this is supposed to be scheduled kind of for an all-day thing, but I'm not sure really what the whole plan is. There's some speakers this afternoon. We got the march happening at 11. Tomorrow night we got the fundraiser in Dorchester, which I'm not sure if I'll be able to live stream that or not, depending on the cellular strength out in Dorchester. We'll try it. We'll see what's up. Do you want to just take a small, quick walk around while we're waiting for this to get set up and going? Show you around a little bit? Roger that. Let's do it. So as you can see, they've got this all set up here.
And then everybody's saying, let Canada turn. Now you're going to eat it for dinner. Everybody memorized it. A lot of organization. Yes, campaign light. Debbie Duval with her in the house. Debbie is with campaign light. Jackie runs Ponsec. I keep demolishing the property. I got short. For the first time, usually here because you didn't want to miss the event. We've become brothers and sisters. So what we're trying to do at Hands Off Our Kids, and part of our success, we're trying to bring organizations already doing a good job, but we're germinating on the biggest platform in the country, and we're providing the support system. Now, we can't do this alone, because everybody's working out of pocket, and this stuff is incredibly expensive. We just registered a corporation, a not-for-profit corporation. We are looking for donations. And we have a petition going. I'd like to get over 1 million signatures, and I myself will deliver it to all leaders here and to the House of Commons. Fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us on this website.
Welcome. Welcome, 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 my brothers and sisters. Welcome. We are moments away from beginning the day. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome. Everyone slowly but surely making their way towards the stage so that we can start the morning with a singing of everybody arriving on the street, coming in, find their parking, get their gear up the sidewalk and here onto the hill, gathering for another beautiful day of resistance against the tyrannical measures that are being imposed on us. We're here to show that we're all together. We're going to have a whole panel of wonderful speakers, people that we're all very interested in listening to, and I'm going to get to those people very quickly. But we're going to start with the singing of the national anthem. We've got a couple of moments before that happens. We're getting the music set up, and just wanted to welcome you all here to the beautiful Parliament Hill, and we're all going to have such a great day. So thank you for coming and starting to make our way towards the stage.
All right, folks. Notice we had a bunch of new people just jump on. We are on Parliament Hill. We are actually on the hill today. And as you can see, we are right in front of the center block, right in front of the stage. Good morning, Ask Can too. Good morning, everyone else. Appreciate everybody smashing that like button while you're here, subscribing if you have not already. So today's itinerary, we are hoping to get started here with some speeches, and then we will go for a march, I believe scheduled at 11 o'clock. Mr. G's on his way down soon. Fantastic. Hello, how you doing?
Is that your YouTube channel?
Yes, it is. Is what?
B&D.
Oh, you saw it back there. Forgot this back there.
Yeah. Yeah. I work with David.
Which channel is it?
David Frieden.
Canadian Free Living.
Yeah. Yeah, I like your channel.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, got all the good stuff. I said I got all the good stuff. Yeah, I don't mind you using it as long as you give me some credit for all my footwork. Well,
Typically also embed rather than take it.
absolutely.
I also typically download Casey original but other than
Safety has unfriendly.
All right, everyone, just bear with us while we're getting our stuff together. See, I'll flip the camera around. You can see we're getting a bit of a crowd started. Got my corrupt government shirt on.
what time? Do you know what time they're starting?
10 o'clock. Right there, bud.
10 minutes ago. Okay. I don't trust that.
It took me a while to get used to looking up there.
Still, it's a government clock. I don't believe it.
Yeah, we're getting there.
It's coming from Parliament. Yeah, anyway, I don't think it's right.
It's close enough. Oh, we got a baby's gonna get removed. Just had to step away for a minute. There was a counter protester in the crowd with a big sign on promoting depopulation. So we thought we'd run over there and get her with the GoPro. Appreciate you all watching the stream this morning. Bear with us while we get her going. Should be a couple hour long stream at the minimum. I guess the march won't be at 11 now because it looks like we're getting a little bit behind schedule. Chris, if I'm standing here, am I in the way of your thing?
Nope.
Okay.
See you again.
Good morning, good morning. How you doing, sir?
Good. The video is
Glad
going famous.
Glad you can make it out here. Yeah, yeah.
It was all
I actually,
over the
darn it.
news.
I brought you a shirt, but I forgot to bring it.
All good.
A shirt that I made. I was going to give it to you. Next time I come here, I think I have a next shirt for you. Probably can't wear it to school, but it was the one I had on Monday. The one you looked at.
Oh, that had the inflating, yeah.
Yeah. Freedom isn't free. And then, of course, it's got this on the back. Gotta promote. Glad you can make it out.
Yeah.
Did you bag off school today?
No, my dad said.
Well, it's still bagging off school, but with permission.
Yeah.
Nice.
And Dexter, when you grow up, what are you gonna do? What would you like to do? I want you on my team, okay? You know the website? I want to see you there, okay? Good? And so, what is the biggest thing that's called the
The way to do this is to get a bungee cord and pull it out sideways like a tent. This way.
No, no, like I said.
Tie the top to it, just here and pull it this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
They tell you whether it's a goal or a yes, okay?
What I that might happen, but I tried to play international Asian process. Well, no, yeah.
German.
Yeah. No, no, like unfriendly person and so we can. Yeah.
What we're doing right now is we want
No, no, I don't know. I don't know. I'm here.
There you go.
So some of these are union bots. Laura, you can get this going? I don't want to lose my spot. Yeah? No. Can you get me one? Yeah, I don't want to lose my spot.
Until they don't, then
Yeah.
they look cold.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Oh,
I didn't say it. I didn't say it. Later on when I post up the video, what you can see in the viral video, 2 minutes before I encountered the same guy. And then I saw them guys coming. So I saw that one start doing later that night.
So we're going to have some speakers here this morning. We'll start off with okay.
Say, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I will.
Anyway, I brought that up to say,
So much what?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Keep pushing. Yeah.
Nothing teaming up about anything.
Right, okay. Yeah, maybe we'll test it now and if it works. I'll need to know before we start so we'll be able to.
all right, everybody. So here we are. Thank you very much for everyone that's already smashed that like button. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A rare opportunity for us to be up here on the hill with a tripod. Normally it's not allowed, but because we have a permit, it's allowed here today. I'm working with sunglasses over down there. Should be an adventurous day. As you can see, there's already one counter protester in the crowd.
I don't know. Yeah.
That's probably the story there.
Is she on a tricycle? Janet here. How's it going? Sorry? Janet. David's wife.
David's wife. I know you're David's wife. Not yet, but we have some for sale for $20, I think. You gotta ask
Oh,
for that.
All right, let's switch this camera around so you're not just staring at me. Let me see what you guys have been saying in here. Everybody behaving themselves. Oh wow, it's so bright here I can't even read the screen. So thank you for everybody here on the stream watching Canadian Free Living. My name is Paul. I am your host, I guess we'll call me. So today should be our last day. Well, I guess I'm leaving here tomorrow morning. My visit to Ottawa is come to an end. Today will be the last day we are here. We're going to gather all this content today. I heard pasture. We do have a pasture coming today. We do have Camille here. Is he awake? I don't know. Maybe you can judge that by his opening speech. Here, I'm going to read you the itinerary, okay? Just hold on one second. All right, everyone, I've got the itinerary here. So 10 o'clock, we're going to sing O Canada. I know we're behind schedule, just pretend we're not. 10:05, introduction and welcome. 10:15, Rob Stokey. 10:30, Terry Hadar. 10:45, Howard Kahn will be speaking. 11 o'clock, Round Families up for the march. 11:15, March for the Children. 12:30, Round Families up to the stage. 12:35, part 2 of the ceremonies. 12:40, Jack Francesca. 12:55, Pastor Henry Hildebert. 1:15, Dr. Ann Gillies. 1:30, Greg Wycliffe. 1:45, Jim Ferguson. 2 o'clock, Kamel. 2:15, thank you and closing remarks. 2:20, additional info for families closing and celebration team photo taking session. So there you go. There's the itinerary for the day. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe if you have not already. We're here on Parliament Hill with Canadian Free Living. Paul, your host. All right, so here we are, still waiting to get going. I heard someone say we're about to get the party started. Hopefully the video is clear. I will let you all know to expect some fuzzy quality video here when live streaming. When you get surrounded by hundreds of cameras, we all fight for the same signal from the same towers, so it will likely get a little fuzzy, but I do have my GoPro on my head and I will be taking video throughout the day and posting a video / tonight or tomorrow. All right, so stay tuned. Thanks all for watching Canadian Free Living. No, the cranes they're working on, from what I've heard, they're obviously rebuilding the outer structure. But I've also heard they're installing, they say that they're fixing the foundation, but I say they're building bunkers. That's just I don't have any proof of that, so it's hearsay. But it wouldn't surprise me that they're building and strengthening the foundation of the building. And I also heard that they might be putting in a walkway from this building to the Senate building and to Trudeau's building, the Prime Minister's office building, underneath the ground, so that way they don't have to walk past all the commoners, us minions here. Again, I don't have any proof of that. I haven't saw the architecture plans, but just from rumors I've heard, this is what I have come to for my conclusion. Totally could be wrong. I'm just gonna go grab some GoPro footage of the crowd.
Test.
This way, hun. See, hun, you can't be up here. Look, everyone's back here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Over here. This way. This way. Let's go. Come on. This way.
Okay, that's good. I'll introduce you and then you can start it. That's fine, brother. That's fine. That's fine. Welcome, 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 my brothers and sisters. Welcome, welcome to the Million March for Kids. You are in the right place. We are ready to get started. Welcome, welcome. Make your way, please, towards the stage. We are going to start the day, a beautiful day of celebrating our shared values, a beautiful day of expressing our discontent with some of the more terrible and terrible policies that have been imposed upon us. And we're all gathering here today to join together with a little bit of fellowship, spread a little bit of information, and maybe raise some awareness to some terrible things that are going on in our country. Welcome, my brothers and sisters. Welcome. Welcome to Parliament Hill. Welcome to Wellington Street. Welcome to Ottawa. We're going to start today with one of our good friends, a person that you all know very well. This man has been working hard from the beginning, and when you see him on the street or on the stage, you can see his efforts paying off. He's behind the scenes as well. He's worked as a correspondent. He's been in the military. He's been around. He's been part of the movement for a long time. And he's a trustworthy voice, an honest man, and someone that we are all pleased to listen to. And he's going to join us and say a few words. And we're all going to see if we can join together for a rendition of Oh Canada, and we're going to try and see if we can all sing together, and this is a great way for us to start with a little harmonizing. We're all going to try to spend the day working with each other and making friends and understanding, sharing the basic concept that we are all together. We're all together, my brothers and sisters, no matter how different we are, no matter where you come from, no matter what brought you here, no matter whether you're old or new, East or West, Muslim or Christian, English or French, we are all together. And this is the thing that's going to get us all the way through to the end. And so thank you so much for coming. We're going to have a wonderful day. We're going to start with a few words from our brother David. We're going to sing the song. We're going to have a bunch of great speakers here today. We're going to do the march, and it's going to be a great day. We've been blessed with beautiful weather and cooperative surroundings, so we're going to soak it in. And so I'll turn it over now to our brother. It's David Creighton. Thank you, everybody. Welcome, welcome.
Well, I tell you, folks, my first love is music, and I sang professionally for many years. And I've done the national anthem about 3 times, largely at political events when nobody else wanted to do it. But it's my pleasure to lead you this morning in our national anthem, because we are all hoping and praying and believing that this will be one nation under God, as it has been and it can be again. So please join me as we sing. Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command, from far and wide, oh Canada, we see thee sung and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Excuse my glitch there. It's been too long since I sung the anthem. Thank you so much for coming today. It's my pleasure to be the Master of Ceremonies. I'm here reporting as well for the post-millennial. I hope you have a chance to read the work there that I'm doing. And if you have a chance, I'm on Redacted at least every week. So many people come up to me and say, "Hey, I saw you on Redacted." I say, I hope you had a chance to see my own show while you're at it, which is Creighton's Right is the channel, and it's Stand on Guard. I'm there every morning. But it's a pleasure just to be seen, and it's a pleasure to be able to get the message out. I'd like to say to people that I give you all the news you need to know. I wish that were true. I try to give you all the news you need to know, because believe me, what's happening here today and what's happening across Canada from Vancouver to Halifax is not going to be reported very well by the mainstream media. And I worked for the mainstream media for many years, so it's not like I don't know who these people are. I know where the skeletons are buried. And I can tell you that unless there's a counter protest that's about half the size of what's going on here, you're not going to get the mainstream media's attention. But you know what? It's irrelevant. And I've noticed that so much when I read the mainstream media. When I look at stories that are out there, I say, this is a different world. Because so many of us, most of us, are reading social media. We're reading new media, such as my outlet, the Post-Militia, such as Rebel News, such as True North, such as the Western Standard. These are all new media. Or they're reading and seeing and watching independent media, which are these proliferation of independent news broadcasts that you see on YouTube. And this, of course, is what Justin Trudeau wants to stop with the online arms bill. And if there's one thing, besides what we're doing today in opposing gender ideology, we have to oppose the censorship bills coming from Justin Trudeau, because he wants to shut down what we're doing today. That's what that's about. This is how it's related. It's interconnected. The censorship bill is about stopping us from protesting gender ideology. It's about stopping us from protesting abortion in Canada. We have Jack Fidescu from Campaign Life here, for instance. Tremendous work on the pro-life file. Every year we have a March for Life here, and the CBC ignores it. Says, what, 5,000 people came out. And not much to see here, folks. They're going to do the same thing today. They're going to be focusing on those pride flags at the end of the street. That's what they're going to focus on, because that's the mainstream media. Do you think they don't have an agenda? You think they don't follow an ideology? You think they're not in the pockets of Justin Trudeau? Yes, of course they are, because they're getting paid by Justin Trudeau to be in his pocket. That's what's going on. And Justin Trudeau wants to shut down the independent media, the new media, and anybody who's not saying what he wants to hear. It's called hate speech. It's called disinformation. It's called malinformation. Have you heard about malinformation? That's anything that's unpleasant. Well, I'm sorry. A lot of the news is unpleasant. That's going to wipe out 70% of the news, because a lot of it's very unpleasant. But as we stand here today and we stand up for children, we are in the midst of a war in the Middle East. We're in the midst of a war in Ukraine. We are inching closer to nuclear confrontation. We are in a very fragile and volatile world that could crumble at any moment. But let us pray for peace. Let us pray for perseverance. Let us pray for hope. And let us pray that we can stand up for the values that we believe and that have always guided us. You know, I hope we get a visit today from the leader of the official opposition. And you know why? Because he said something in a Christmas interview that I think all of us can agree with. And I'm in the pocket, by the way, of no political party and no politician. I've worked on the Hill for many years. There's some I trust more than others. But ultimately, we've got to continue to fight for beliefs and fight that politicians of all political stripes embrace those beliefs. But I heard Pierre Poilievre say in a Christmas interview that he wants a government that says, that is a mind your own business government. And I said, yeah, that's what I want too. I want a government that says, mind your own business. Let me raise my children. Let me believe in the faith that I want to. Let me raise my children in the faith that I choose. And let not the state put its hand upon my children. Let not the state do that, because those are the kind of governments that existed in Nazi Germany, that existed in Soviet Russia, that exist in totalitarian states. It is the chief characteristic of a totalitarian government when the state raises the children and usurps the authority of the parents. So we are here today, not out of any sense of animosity or hatred for anybody, but because we love our children, and we love our families, and we love each other. This is an outpouring of interfaith love and affection. We are here as Christians, as Jews, as Muslims, as Hindus, as Sikhs. I don't care what your religion is today, as long as you love your children and you love your country and you want to see both do well and prosper, without Justin Trudeau or the provincial governments or the school boards telling those children how they should be raised and indoctrinating them into gender ideology and everything else they are spewing forth at the youngest age in our country. We're going to hear from some speakers today, and I will give one caveat as I discuss with Camille. Please just talk about gender ideology. We're not here to talk about foreign policy. And I'll leave it at that, because there's the government, the Trudeau government wants to divide us. The Trudeau government wants us fighting about other issues. They don't want us united on gender ideology. They don't want us united on the gay pride flag. They don't want us united on family issues and protection of children. And I tell you, I'll say this before I introduce our first speaker. I had the honor of meeting Camille El-Sheikh, who will be speaking to you later, over a year ago when I first visited one of his events. And I really come to love this guy because he's a wonderful human being. I don't want to sound like a guest on the Johnny Carson show, but he really is a wonderful human being who has done so much, has given so much of his own time, so much of his own energy, and has taken such unnecessary flack from so many people who say, "You're not perfect, Camille. We need a perfect person doing this." Well, I'm sorry. We need somebody with a dedication and the love for children doing this. And that's who Camille is. When I hear Camille talk about why he's doing this and what it means to be a Canadian, I say, that's why I'm doing it. And that's exactly what it means for me to be a Canadian. A pride in this heritage, in this history, in this flag, and in the freedoms that we enjoy and we will continue to enjoy as we sustain them and as we take back what this Trudeau government wants to take from us. So I want to thank Camille for persevering. Somebody asked me this morning, what is your greatest virtue? And I unquestionably thought perseverance, persistence. I've had a lot of adversity in my life. And I tell you, I'm here today because I've had a personal experience with gender ideology in the classroom, stealing a loved one from me. I won't go into more specific details because that individual might not be wanting mentioning in the name, but I have a personal stake in this. This is not just politics, ideology, or philosophy for me. This is very personal because I have been there with a loved one. And I know what those people across the street are all about. It's the mutilation of our children. It's the subjugation of our children. And ultimately, it's the murder of democracy in this country. That's what they're all about. They don't love our kids. They don't love our children. They're delusional. We love our children. And Camille has demonstrated that. And I just want to say, I'm here again because I support this man for what he's doing. I support this man for putting his life and career out there and saying, I believe strongly and fervently enough in this that I am going to take risks, that I am going to be a hero. And that's what he's done. So without further ado, we're going to be doing a little improvisation throughout the day as people might not be here on time or might, but we're going to start with Howard Kwan. Howard, are you out there? And Howard, you know Howard, you see Howard all over the place. These are his signs. Nobody has worked harder when it comes to getting the message out about what this is all about. So I applaud Howard's work, and he's got some signs with him right now. Oh. All right, so there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming, and here's Howard Kwan.
Thank you, David. Welcome, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, XX, XY. It's a beautiful day for standing up for children, standing up for families, standing up for family values. I'm just going to jump into it because I have a lot of signs. You know, I'm here quite a while, over 1,000 days every weekend, and I make signs. And I invite people to ask questions. It's all about freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, and freedom of mobility, which is all being taken away from us very, very slowly but surely. And we have to make more awareness of it and then combat it the best we can. Now, my journey with signs started with a simple sign, and I gave these away. It progressed to today, and I encourage people to help me pick up a sign and spread the word. I find that with everyone so divided, like across the street, that we need to communicate. Communication is key, and because mainstream media, government propaganda, all of that, it restricts our ability to speak. So I use signs as my way of trying to reach people on the ground, and I find it quite effective. And I try to spread the truth, plant the seeds, because the truth will set you free. One of the things that people don't want to talk about is the facts and the truth. And does anyone know what this is? It's the elephant in the room. So things that we don't talk about. Now, what I talk about, a lot of people don't even know about. And the government and the woke mob is the biggest bullies around. That's a fact. You can hear them yelling. They're probably wearing masks, but is it smart to cut off oxygen to their brains? No. They don't have the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. They lack that. We have to pray for them. So why do we march? Why do we protest? Of course, it's freedom for all, including the other side. Children's future, which we are fighting for, to protect their innocence. And I put here, backs justice, which is one of the methods that the government has used to control us. I believe we are the silent majority, but because of the censorship and restrictions on us being able to spread the word, we we remain silent, but it's useless. So we got to raise awareness. We got to engage people on the street and wherever we can on multimedia. Now the government has trampled over our rights, left, right, and center, our God-given rights. And there is no rule of law. They have taken over the courts and so on. But our veterans have fought for us. And look where we are today. So what this country is turning into is a country, communist, socialist, and Marxist ideology. They are destroying the individual, they're destroying the family, and they are destroying society. The problem with what people know and don't know is they do not have informed consent, which is against all moral laws, including the Nuremberg Code when they used COVID shots on us without providing us full information. Now, a question that goes out to everyone, including the other side, is if the science and politics were incorrect, should you comply? Of course, some remain ignorant, some remain willfully ignorant, and many have ostracized their family, their friends, their co-workers, and what for? They're not informed. So it's a shame. And because truth is truth, even if no one believes it, a lie is a lie, even if everyone believes it. One of the things that started all this and made it high profile is Josh Alexander and Save Canada. And one of the rallies that they supported is the drag queen story time. So I had these signs there. That side did not like it. They tried to block the signs, block me, using umbrellas, banners, whatever. Sometimes they do steal my signs, spray paint. But informed consent is important, and they need to be informed. And one of the ways to be informed is alternative media, including Druthers, for example, Chris Stacy, Rare Foundation, Right Blend, and many independent journalists that we rely on for this information, and including David. So absolute power corrupts absolutely. This is what's happening right now, and this is what's causing all the commotion and the division and the confusion and the anguish and the anxiety with all our families and children. Censorship is, let's say, the media is the virus. It's responsible for a lot of this on what we believe. So a lot of it springs from COVID, of course, and what's been happening since. This is government math. They want you to think, say, and do whatever they say, even if it doesn't make sense. So hence COVID 1984. Our humanity is being affected. We lost our morals. We lost our direction. And society has fallen into sin. In law, there's no justice, no rule of law. So that's why you see all these things starting to happen. Now, who do you trust? Who do you trust with your children? And school's not telling you what's happening. One of the big tragedies in the world right now is child abuse. And they are being so abused, it's unbelievable. We have to raise awareness. Pedophilia, for example, the transgender, radical sex and ideology, it needs to be gone. We need to liberate our children, all children, including theirs. We need more religion and less pride. Pride leads to destruction. We have to focus our schools on teaching the basics, education, over indoctrination. One group that's really against what's going on is Gays Against Groomers. And they really hate this sign because the message is from their own. They are opposed to indoctrination, sexualization, medicalization of the children under the guise of LGBTQ+. So, are you guys happy that the radical part hijacked the LGBT community and the movement? So basically, we are not anti-LGBTQ. We get along, we live and let live. However, when they introduce the kids and our children and taking rights away from the parents, they're in trouble. So the haters across the street and around the world, they wear disguises, they yell and swear, they use violence, they block our signs, they stop discussions. Is it fascist to want to protect your child from harm? No, it's not hateful either, yet they label us as hate. We need to stop the sexualization and indoctrination of our children. It is ruining their future. These programs, these perverted programs have been started by pedophiles and child pornographers, including our Deputy Health Minister in Ontario, who instituted the early part of the SOGI 123 program, Sexual Orientation, Gender Identity 123. And we need to pray for the woke mob because there's no pride in the sexualization, indoctrination of kids. And I'm almost finished. 20% of increase in suicides from children who transition. Do they care about that? No. And another fact, I'm working on more signs, but transgenderism leads to transhumanism leads to depopulation. This is the bigger picture that we have to focus on. And the WEF and the UN, United Nations, the WHO, they are destroying this world, fooling everyone. And we should be ashamed of our parliament, who's complicit 100%. Not everyone falls prey to the lies, but they are afraid to speak too, just like us. So we need to have a vote of non-confidence. We need the police and military to do their job, to uphold the law, to protect us from enemies, both foreign and domestic. Following orders no longer is good enough. They lied. They lied about everything. And this is creating cognitive dissonance on a wide scale. One more. We need God back in our lives so we can remain glorious and free. And this flag is all we need. Everyone, including the counter protesters, have to realize this before it's too late. Some of them will eventually come around if they see these messages, contemplate it, use their eyes to see, their ears to hear, and their hearts to understand what's really going on. Perhaps there is still hope.
Hey, Canada!
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yay, Howard!
When you mention National Citizens COVID inquiry, people know. Look on the website. Right. We didn't see that.
Well, thank you, Howard. It's you always know when Howard's at a at a gathering because he's got so many signs. God bless him for that work. Sign of the time. All right, we have our next speaker on hand here, and this is a real pleasure for me because I reference the fact that every year on these streets we have a March for Life. One of the people who's instrumental in organizing that march every year, that, as I say, always gets underrated by the mainstream media, but those of us who have been here throughout the years know how many people come out for that March for Life. And it's Jack Fonseca, who is the president of the Campaign Life Coalition. He's done a hell of a job over the years on the pro-life file, and he's doing a heck of a job fighting against gender ideology. So it's a real pleasure because I've written over the years for Campaign Life's media outlet, and you can always say things for Campaign Life that other media organizations don't want to touch because it's honest, it's frank, and it's completely objective. So Jack Fonseca is the Director of Political Operations at Campaign Life Coalition. He's been with Campaign Life Coalition since 2009 in a variety of positions, such as communications, marketing, media, and fundraising. And Jack is the media spokesperson for Campaign Life Coalition and has appeared on CTV, CBC, and numerous other TV, radio, and newspaper outlets. And Jack is married and is a father of two. So please give a hearty welcome, Jack, right now.
All right, thank you very much, David. And, I'm honored to stand here with all you Canadian patriots. We are united under one flag, one nation under God, black, white, brown, yellow, all different religions. We're united together in this common belief that our children belong to us, that we are the primary educators of our kids, and that it is incumbent on us and us alone to guide them in the morals and values and religious beliefs that they are to carry through their lives, hopefully. And we are here to demand that our schools cease and desist their LGBT indoctrination of children. We are parents and grandparents and concerned citizens. And we are united, as I said, in the belief that we're the primary educators and moral guides of our children. Not that sex activist teacher with purple hair, with no life experience, no children of her own, and no religion, but who hangs a gay pride rainbow on her door that substitutes for spirituality. She is not the parents. You are. Not the anti-family child sexualizing school trustees, superintendents, and directors of education who impose transgender ideology and homosexual propaganda on your kids. They're not co-parents of your child. You're the sole parents. Not the morally corrupt politicians and nameless, faceless, unelected bureaucrats working in the ministries of education. They have no right to indoctrinate your children with their personal crusade for sexual revolution. You, the mother and father, are the only ones who have a God-given right, predating the state, to form the moral and religious beliefs on human sexuality in your children. And likewise, the myriad of LGBTQ pressure groups whose coffers Justin Trudeau has been filling with hundreds of millions in taxpayer cash so they can develop countless programs to brainwash your children in school and out of school. They are not the co-parents of your kids, and they have no right to imprint their personal beliefs on them. How dare they interfere with our children and demand ever more control over what our children learn and believe. And I tell you, despite the talk of the left, we do not have a problem of white privilege and white supremacy in Canada. No, what we have is a problem of gay privilege and gay supremacy in Canada. This is where the LGBT lobby demands total control over the education of our children and control to exclude you, the parents. All of these people I've mentioned pretend to care about children, but rather they are gravely harming these kids. They are committing child abuse. The most obvious example lies in the teaching of gender identity theory in schools, producing this sexual confusion in the minds of thousands and thousands of kids across Canada. Now, how can I say with confidence that the teaching of gender identity theory in class, the belief that there are more than two sexes, and that biology does not determine whether one is male or female, how can I know that that causes harm to children? Well, we need only look at the fact that schools are now in the business of encouraging kids to explore and discover whether they might be transgender. And then once they've nudged the kids into thinking this way, to affirm their delusion of being the opposite sex and to facilitate social transitioning, followed by puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, which puts many of them on the path to sex change surgery in the future. How does this cause harm? Does it really cause harm? Well, let's analyze the side effects of stage 1 in transitioning, puberty blockers, which are typically given between 10 to 12 years old. In spite of what we're told by the so-called experts, puberty blockers are not reversible. Researchers in Glasgow and Oslo universities studying the effects of puberty blockers found that they produced lasting reduction in spatial memory and increased emotional instability. Researchers in New York studying the effects of puberty blockers in mice found that they produced depression, despair-like behavior in females, and hyperactivity in males. And this jives very well with research done on humans, because the drug used in puberty blockers has been used for many years, controversially actually, to treat conditions like endometriosis. And so we know that the research has long reported unwanted effects on cognition, emotions, and executive function. Now, executive function is a medical term, and it's a scientific term. And what does that mean? Should we be concerned if our child's executive function gets impaired? Well, executive function means your ability to think adaptively, to plan, to organize, to manage your time, amongst other things that the brain does. Dr. John Whitehall, a professor of pediatrics at Western Sydney University in Australia, has said that while on puberty blockers, quote, the volume of the brain decreases at a rate 10 times faster than aging, end quote. Now, isn't that astonishing? The volume of the brain on puberty, on these hormones, decreases at 10 times faster than the normal aging process. The healthcare and education system pushing affirmation and puberty blockers as a cure to gender confusion are literally causing their children's brain volumes to decrease. This is child abuse. There is research which suggests that puberty blockers cause irreversible infertility. Now think about that. Do 10-year-olds really understand what they're consenting to? Can they possibly appreciate what that means, being rendered infertile forever? Puberty blockers can also make bones brittle, meaning they break more easily. That's osteoporosis. They can stunt bone growth. Now, a blocked child will often end up shorter than his or her peers, which, if you think about it, can also very easily cause distress in children. Watching their peers grow and develop faster and taller than themselves. Stage 2 in transitioning is cross-sex hormones, which means giving high-dose testosterone to girls and high-dose estrogen to boys to produce and sustain the secondary characteristics of the opposite sex, such as facial hair on females and larger breasts in males. Children who do stage 1 puberty blockers almost always proceed to stage 2. But these extremely powerful hormones must be given for life and must be monitored for serious side effects, including cardiovascular disease, blood clots, and various cancers. Yes, hormone therapy is carcinogenic, and they're giving it to our kids. Studies have found that prolonged use of cross-sex hormones, which, as I said, must be given for life, are associated with increased risk for cancer, including cancers of the breast, prostate, ovaries, cervix, and vagina. Now, this sounds like a wonderful, safe, and effective medical treatment, doesn't it? What loving parent wouldn't want to put their child on a treatment plan like this, which makes your bones brittle, stunts your growth, makes you permanently infertile, and increases the risk of heart disease, blood clots, and all sorts of cancers? Stage 3 of transitioning is surgery to amputate perfectly healthy body parts and then to construct simulations of opposite sex genitals. This is difficult, and complications are common. According to Dr. John Whitehall, quote, tissue grafts may die. Holes created to look like a vagina can fill in. Tubes can obstruct. Openings can appear. Lengths of bone that are sometimes placed in the shaft may protrude. Bowels may perforate, and germs can invade, end quote. You can imagine this is not very pleasant. But this, my friends, is where all of our school boards, both public and Catholic throughout Canada and here in Ottawa, are trying to lead our precious children. Gone are the days when boards of education were concerned with developing the cerebral region in students by helping them excel in reading, writing, and arithmetic. School boards and so many educators now push sexual ideologies nonstop. No, instead of the cerebral region, they seem to be fixated only on the pubic region. And this is why I've taken to calling them pubic schools. These are pubic school systems, because that's all they seem to care about. And whether it's a pubic secular school or a pubic Catholic school system, their leaders are totally obsessed with sexual indoctrination of children. Here in Ontario, for example, standardized testing scores in math and science have been falling year after year for more than a decade. But sexual programming, including gender identity theory, eats up more and more of the school calendar every single year, and thus shunts more impressionable kids down that transgender corridor that I described, which is so dangerous and deadly. But we have to ask, is this unprecedented intrusion into the minds and bodies of children necessary? What will happen if parents do nothing but watch and wait while their child fantasizes about its gender? Can the child grow out of it? Is that possible? Well, scientific studies prove that the vast majority of children who identify as transgender will grow out of it through puberty if parents do little more than gently watch and wait. Unbelievably, this likelihood of growing out of it is admitted in no less than the official Diagnostic and Statistics Manual of the American Psychiatric Association, which is the Bible of psychiatry. In the current version, the DSM-5, it states that up to 98% of boys and up to 88% of girls have been reported to desist from their delusion of being the opposite sex or of being trapped in the wrong body prior to the onset of puberty. That's 98% of boys and 88% of girls. And yet we're told that if we don't put them in puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones and put them on the path towards mutilating sex change surgeries, there's going to be massive suicides among children. But if we leave them alone, these ideas will go away. That's what the stats show. They will desist. They will embrace their biological reality, their God-given bodies. They won't have a problem with it anymore. So now I'd like to address the suicide myth pushed by the establishment media, by our schools, by the medical community going along with this dangerous, dangerous experiment, and by the politicians who support it or bow down to it. They all say that if we don't help children transition, if we don't immediately affirm their gender delusion, their sexual delusion that they're trapped in the wrong body, that they're going to commit suicide. So we've got to do this to save them from suicide, we are told. Well, that is complete rubbish. The most authoritative study in the world on the health effects of sex change surgery to post-operative transsexuals was a Swedish cohort study done by the very liberal, very pro-gay Swedish government. That study followed post-operative transsexuals over many years, and what they found is that those who underwent sex change surgeries had a 19.2 times higher rate of death by suicide 10 to 20 years later, post-surgery, compared to the general population. Now take that in. That's not a 19% higher rate of suicide. A 19-fold increase in suicide deaths means a 1,900% increase in suicide death associated with sex change surgeries. So by affirming a transgender identity in students, and thus encouraging puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, schools are necessarily putting many of these impressionable children, and some who are doing it as a fad, on the path to a sex change surgery later in life. We know this. Now what that means, given the statistic I mentioned from that authoritative Swedish cohort study, is that these schools will be responsible for putting children in body bags, for killing them. The schools, politicians, medical establishment that repeats this lie, this myth, will be complicit in the suicides of these children later in life, perhaps 10 to 20 years later, but nonetheless, suicide for many of them who follow the path of transgender identification, the logical conclusion of gender ideology, which is sex change surgery, when they regret the irreversible changes that they made to their body and regret them. But don't worry, Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party have a solution. If you become so depressed, so suicidal, and regretful of what you did to your body, how you mutilated it, how you castrated or got a double mastectomy or had your uterus removed, they have a solution. They've made it easy to kill yourself. They've legalized euthanasia, and just recently they've made very close efforts to expand it for reasons of mental health and depression. So if you're horribly depressed because you regret the mutilation of your body 15 years ago, or even recently, they can help kill you. Justin Trudeau can help kill you. He's made it legal. This figure alone on the suicides from the Swedish government cohort study should end the debate once and for all about whether encouraging children to transition should be banned or allowed in Canada. At least for those under 18, it should be banned. It should be illegal in every province and territory nationwide. It should be a crime, if not for everybody, including adults. So why is it happening? Why is Justin Trudeau, the leader of our country, pushing transgender ideology on kids, promoting it, encouraging teachers to indoctrinate kids with this ideology in schools, knowing, I'm sure that he knows some of these statistics on the negative health effects of gender ideology and sex change surgeries. So why is he doing it? Why is he encouraging these kids to, at some point in their lives, end up in a body bag, dead from suicide, mutilated, depressed? I think the man is a sociopath. I think Justin Trudeau is an absolute sociopath. He has murderous intent, and there's a common thread in what he's done. He's causing the deaths of these kids at some point in their life by getting them, encouraging them, and creating the conditions for them to mutilate themselves, to castrate themselves. He's encouraging the slaughter of unborn children in the womb through abortion. He's legalized euthanasia, the killing of our seniors, the elderly, the disabled, the depressed. He has murderous intent, I believe. And so, this is an anti-human agenda. I could be persuaded that Justin Trudeau is an empty shell inhabited by a demonic spirit. You could make that argument and convince me. So I want to encourage everyone here to keep marching, keep fighting. We are winning the battle here. Slowly, we are making progress from coast to coast. More and more Canadians are waking up to the realization that our schools are doing something awfully wrong, that something has gone wrong in our education system, that they are harming the children, they're sexually confusing the children, and producing lifelong medical, physical, psychological, and spiritual harm to them. And our movement's growing. There are protests happening in the Million Person March for Children in Victoria, Calgary, Moncton, Fredericton, Kitchener, Toronto, all over the place. And let's keep it up. Thank you. God bless you.
Well, thank you so much, Jack. That was not just fantastic, but very educational. We need to be reminded about the science, the real science behind what we're proposing here. I want to introduce, I want to say a good friend. I only actually met Dr. Gillies a year ago. I had her on my show last Sunday to talk about this march, and we just had a marvelous conversation about all of these things that are affecting us today. And I just want to say about, Jack is responsible for LifeSite News as part of his job at Campaign Life Coalition. Have a look at LifeSite News. It is a phenomenal website. It does great news. I don't know how many times I've seen stories on LifeSite and I said, hey, we got to do something about that because they've gotten the scoop on something, or they have really done a story nobody else wants to touch. So we need to build up alternative media because there's not enough of it. And the mainstream media still thinks it's the only show in town. You talk to some of these journalists that they're living in an alternate universe. They really don't understand the audience is gone. It's like they're talking to an empty auditorium at times. Just look at the views some of these mainstream media is getting, like CBC. Some independent voices, most independent voices are getting more views per day on Facebook and on YouTube than CBC is, or CTV is. They just don't get it, though. They really think they're still doing the only job. So I want to introduce Dr. Ann Gillies, who is our next speaker. Now, we talk about a one-woman show here. She does it all. She's a Canadian trauma specialist. She's a pastor. She's an author, activist, speaker, rancher, wife, mother, and grandmother. And Ann's skill in clear and brave communication is broad and expertly delivered across all avenues of media, as well as when you meet her in person. And she really, really does have a way of grabbing your attention when she speaks to you, either in person or in front of a crowd. Ann is energetic, good-natured, focused, kind, and with spine to spare. Don't you wish that we had more politicians with spine, that they could grow some? I worked for a couple of politicians in my life who had spine, and they'd rather quit politics than quit their principles and quit their ideals. And that's ultimately what they did, because they said, I'm not moving, I'm not changing, because I'd rather serve God than men. And who said that? It was Jesus Christ who said that. Where is your choice? Where is your allegiance? Who do you really want to please on this earth, God or men? That's a question every politician needs to ask him or herself. What are they in this for? Anyway, we'll finish. Dr. Gillies is a lover of truth and human flourishing, who courageously leads the charge against falsehoods and harms in society, despite as well as because of the personal price she has paid. And I can tell you this from the bottom of my heart. Dr. Gillies is the real deal. Dr. Gillies, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, everyone. It is wonderful to be here with you today. And I'm old school, so I actually typed out some notes. I'm not sure how this is going to work. I'm probably going to drop them as I go through them, but you can bear with me. I thank Jack Francesca for speaking all the stats to you, because I didn't bring stats so much with me today, so I'm really thankful that he did that. I'm going to talk to you about three things today: faith, family, and freedom, because those three things are on the chopping block in Canada and have been for a long time, and we need to understand that they're the very bedrock of our society. faith, family, and freedom. It's all under assault, and it's being assaulted by the ideologies that we're hearing about. Those ideologies include Marxism, queer theory, and gender ideology. Now, there's more, absolutely, but those are the three. So you think what we're here to promote, faith, family, and freedom, Marxism, queer theory, and gender ideology are on the other side of the scale. They want to turn upside down everything that is reality. Queer theory is all about deconstructing the family, and we need to stand firm for our families. Let's see if I can figure this out a little better here. So, queer theory, all these three, queer theory, Marxism, and gender ideology, have gained traction in the workplace, in our public schools, and all public institutions across Canada. And it's not just Canada, folks, of course. But you know, when you now apply for a driver's license, it's what gender are you, not what sex are you. We need to come back to the basic language. It's not about gender, it's about biological sex. Marxism seeks to replace the role of faith with the state. Faith is directly oppositional to Marxism. So Marxist theology wants to replace faith. So we are here today because we have a faith. Now, we may not share the same faith, but we have a faith, and we have freedom of religion still in Canada. But we have to join together, and we have to stick together to keep that, because everything that's coming against us wants to destroy our freedoms. Marxism does undermine the very basic belief in the supremacy of God that was one of the foundational concepts of our country, of Canada. It is the foundation for our laws and values. Without faith, there is no moral compass to guide our society, and we're left with a system where power dictates what is right and wrong, not moral absolutes, not kindness, not generosity, but power. The more powerful you are, politically or monetarily, the more you can control other people. But that's not the principle that Canada was built on. Queer theory and gender dysphoria, gender ideology, erode the foundation of faith by promoting ideas that are fundamentally at odds with religious teaching. Faith communities have been pushed to accept concepts of sexuality. And you and I know that many, certainly within the Christian realm, many congregations have capitulated to the ideology, to LGBTQ pressure. But you know, family's still the primary institution where values are taught and nurtured. And it's here, it's in the family that children learn to love and respect, and they learn responsibility. We must encourage our families to stand strong. That's why we're here today. Where Marxism views the family as an institution that needs to be dismantled. That's why politically we're in trouble, folks, because this is happening all across Canada. Queer theory and gender ideology promote ideas that the traditional family structures, so man, woman, husband, wife, and children, are outdated and oppressive. Did you know that because you're a white heterosexual father that you're oppressive? I mean, these are the I would say this is the craziness that is propagated by queer theory, that anything that is rational has become irrational, and we need to take back those things that we have lost. It undermines the rights of parents to raise their children according to their own values and beliefs. The erosion of family authority poses a significant threat to the security and stability of our society. If we erode, if we allow the very foundation of our families to be destroyed, that will threaten everything in our society. It is the bedrock of our society. We have to encourage families, and we need to step out and stand up for young people to encourage them to have children and not listen to the rhetoric that somehow children are awful and they're going to It's going to make climate change, horrible if we have children and all the rhetoric that goes with that. I'm not going to get into that. Queer theory and gender ideology pose a threat to our freedoms in Canada, particularly the freedom of speech and the freedom of religion. And it includes the mandates of using specific language. Remember Jordan Peterson in 2016 stood before Parliament and cautioned parliamentarians on what we would call the trans pronoun bill. Well, look what's happened, folks. He was absolutely right. The language, we are forced to acknowledge the preferred pronouns, penalizing individuals and organizations that refuse to comply, and bowing to LGBTQ activists. We have nothing against individuals on their own. We're not telling you that these people are evil. That's not what we're about. We're talking about the activism and the actual underlying theories and the agendas. It's crucial that we reaffirm our commitment to faith, family, and freedom as the guiding principles of our society. We need to join arms and link arms together and promote these things. We must return to a belief in the supremacy of God as the foundation for our laws and values. This doesn't mean imposing a particular religion or religious view on other people, but it recognizes a higher moral authority. Guess what? Prime Minister Trudeau, you are not God. You are not God. There is a higher moral authority over Canada and over this world. And we need to come back to the realization, the ethical grounding for our society. Faith encourages us to see each person as inherently valuable. You are valuable, David. You are valuable, Camille. You are valuable, people. You are valuable. Each one of you is unique. You are valuable. And you are valuable in God's eyes. You are deserving of respect. And we need to provide moral clarity to our young people to navigate the complex issues of sexuality. In fact, not just to our young people, folks, all people across Canada. We must bring them back to their roots because they're confused. It doesn't matter if they're 18 or 8 or 80. They're all confused with what's going on in our society. And we must come back to the supremacy of God to lead us together to truth. We must strengthen families to fulfill their role in society, protecting the rights of parents and freeing them from the interference of state and educational institutions. We must encourage our politicians as much as we can, but we must encourage them to promote policies that encourage family structure and demand education respect the values of parents and families rather than undermining them. We must vigorously defend the principle of freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of conscience. Canadians must be free to express their beliefs without fear of retribution. They must not be forced to conform to these ideologies and that violate their very values, their core values. We must stand against these ideologies. Marxism, queer theory, gender ideology threaten the principle of faith, family, and freedom. Just a couple more pages. These ideologies do seek to weaken the family unit and erode Canadian freedoms. And parents, you must recognize and resist these ideologies. Keep your eyes open. Look to what's happening. We must honor the dignity of all and not allow the deconstruction or destruction of our precious children with gender affirmation, social transitioning, puberty blockers, hormones, and body mutilation, as Jack was talking about. And if you want to know the whole picture on that, check out the CAS review. In fact, the CAS review, which came out of Britain last year, just this year actually, was the final review. They even said that social transitioning needs to be disallowed. Social transitioning in itself is a problem for children. So even to let boys dress as girls, well, hello, yeah, if they're 2 years old and they're playing dress up, that's different. But when you get a 13-year-old boy dressing like a girl, that is conditioning. That's indoctrination. So it's time for parents to unite across this land of Canada to arise and stand firm. Expose the indoctrination and tyranny within our education systems. And most of all, rescue our children. Rise as one to defend the young. And I want to add this because I just received this morning, a brand new study by Dr. Michael Laidlaw. So Google him. He's an endocrinologist in the US. Just sent this study that was just completed, and it verifies everything that David was talking about. Jack was talking about. I've got too many names in my name. So this is what he says regarding adverse psychological effects of high-dose testosterone, which is what they give young girls who are deciding they could be cross-sex, which can never happen, by the way. So high-dose testosterone is given for the purpose of transitioning natal females in gender-affirming therapy. Some of these adverse reactions, and this is his quote, include depressed mood. So if you have children in your family, whether it's a niece, a nephew, grandchild, these are the symptoms you need to look for when they start taking these hormones and puberty blockers. Depressed moods, emotional disorders, a lot of emotional catharsis, emotional distress, anger, aggression, antisocial behavior. And we see that. Unfortunately, we see it in those who are set up to counter-protest against us from the LGBT. We see it. Antisocial behavior. But listen to this. Homicidal ideation. Not just suicidal. They become homicidal. This is really scary. Do you understand? When we stand up as parents and speak truth, and these children have been on hormones for how many years, and it's changed their brains, it's changed the brain chemistry, there are all kinds of negative effects, and homicidal ideation is one. Self-destructive behavior, affect liability, that means emotional liability. Dissociation, which is something I dealt with a lot when I treated adult survivors of complex trauma, and disorientation. So this is what Laidlaw also says. In our opinion, the adverse psychological reactions to testosterone as used in natal female transition are related to the harmful doses administered. And they also in this paper discuss the potential relation to suicidal ideation and the suicide found in subsequent studies that Jack Fonseca talked about. This is very real. This is very real, and what you hear in social media and all the good things about transitioning, that's all about queer theory at work, turning everything upside down, saying good is evil, because what they're doing to our children is evil. So let's stand together, let's be together, and let's continue to march together to rescue our children. Rise up as one to defend the young.
Thank you, Dr. Gillis.
About homicidal ideation.
30 seconds about homicidal ideation. That's in a new study. I do have the reference for you. I can get it to you if you take my card. But that's just come out today. I just got it today. So I can't speak a lot about it. But when you have suicidal ideation, you have self-destructive tendencies, it's not hard to also cross the line when you get angry toward homicidal ideation. So we are in an uphill battle for our children. We must rescue them.
Thank you, Dr. Ann Gillies. That was, as always, informative, passionate, as we come to expect from you. Our next speaker is always a blessing to hear. He's gone through personal hell and back on his fight for freedom of religion in this country. He's been identified with the Freedom Convoy, and this is a quick aside here. I was there for about 95% of the trial just down the road there. You can almost see the building on Elgin Street. of Tamara Leach, Chris Barber. And I still cannot believe any trial for mischief could go on for literally over a year. And we're not going to get a verdict in that trial until January, February, maybe even March 2025. And I'll tell you, I've come to know both Tamara and Chris very well. I've interviewed them, and Tamara's been on my show multiple times. And these people have been put through what we all call lawfare, back and forth from their homes in Western Canada back to Ottawa again, all because of stupid charges. And you know, it was interesting to me. On Monday, of course, we had a by-election in Montreal. And you know whose seat that used to be? The former Justice Minister and Attorney General of Canada, David Lametti, who resigned literally a day after a federal court judge ruled the Emergencies Act to be a violation of the Charter of Rights of the Constitution and to be completely unfounded. Lametti was out the door. He, of course, is one of those February criminals, that's what I call them, the February criminals who invoked the Emergencies Act upon innocent, peaceful protesting Canadians. So our next speaker knows all about the Freedom Convoy. He knows all about what we're fighting for today. He knows all about freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, and freedom of speech, which is what we are all standing for today. Pastor Henry Hildebrand is a religious leader. He's a religious leader like a few others, and activist, and as he says, a conspiracy theorist. In 1991, Pastor Henry became the pastor of the Church of God in Elmer, Ontario. He has been an outspoken critic of COVID-19 restrictions and lockdowns, a strong supporter of the Freedom Convoy, and an advocate for protecting parental and children's rights. Pastor Henry Hildebrand, come on up here, please.
Well, hello, Ottawa. It certainly is a place where we have been before. We recognize. I'm starting to understand what the streets' names are and whatnot, so it's not our first time. The nice thing today is that I'm not wearing gloves and I'm not wearing hand warmers and heat warmers, so the weather's actually perfect here. So let me tell you first of all that we should never base our results or our success on numbers, because we have plenty of examples in the Bible where we see that by one man what God did. Now actually, one man and God make the majority. What is important is that we stand with the truth, that we stand with God. That's what matters. I actually won't be very long, but I thought I found the perfect thing to share with you here this afternoon. I found it in a book written by someone by the name of Stephen P. Hargrave. He wrote the book Hustling Backward, and I found that he describes it very, very well. Before I quote what he says in his book, let me just say this. This is what Ali Talib said. He said, people are of two types. They are either your brothers in faith or your equals in humanity. Actually, we are one big human family. What the system that's behind me, what they would like to do and are hard working at it is to divide us. We should actually not allow anyone to divide us, because that is what they're after. And you know what that means, divide and conquer. We should actually not allow anything to divide us from the people that we just saw across the street. Now, whatever lifestyle anyone is involved in, they unequivocally deserve to be treated with love, respect, and human dignity. I stand before you here this afternoon telling you that I have absolutely no hatred whatsoever, no bitterness against anyone, no matter what they're yelling, no matter what they're screaming. They are lost. They are lost. And they need salvation, true salvation. And that salvation can only be found in Jesus Christ. He died for our sins. They can be saved. And actually their soul desires that. They would often qualify or tell us what we're doing, even this afternoon. They would say that this is hate speech. I would like to share something out of this book, Hustling Backward. What he says about hate speech, I thought it was so well said. He said there may well be nothing in itself inappropriate with the phrase hate speech. The manner in which it is often used, however, may be extremely inappropriate. First of all, hatred that is expressed by word and deed is not always an indication of the absence of love. Secondly, criticism is not always an indication of negativity. And finally, holding a contrary position is not always indication of malice. Let's not allow ourselves to be coerced into labeling something as hate speech solely based on someone holding a contrary position and voicing that opposition. Mind you, it may be hate. It's possible that somebody is filled with hatred by what they're speaking. But we cannot, just because I have a dissenting voice of something or disagreeing with something, doesn't mean I am filled with hatred. Because guess what? I'm not. I am fully clear this afternoon of hatred against anyone. But I am absolutely and strongly standing against what they're doing to our country, how they're mocking God, how they're poking God in the eye, so to speak. I am adamantly against it. But I do not have a hatred for anyone. But I do hate Satan, and I do hate what Satan does, and I do hate the deeds of what these people are doing. A big difference. So, let me see, I lost my place. I got a little passionate here. Okay, but it cannot be justly labeled as such simply because someone holds to and promotes a contrary position. If we just readily assume all dissenting speech is hate speech, then we cannot have a conversation about the viewpoints which we hold, and we cannot have a conversation. If we cannot have a conversation, no understanding can be reached, neither can any mutual peaceful conclusion be drawn. So you saw exactly that. They are yelling at us. They're yelling, you hate this, and they're yelling, they're talking about human rights. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But there is no constructive conversation going on, letting them know, look, we don't hate you. We just don't want you to destroy our children. We don't want you to tear the very fabric that holds our society together, right? We need to have a constructive conversation. But unfortunately, it starts way higher than with them. Right behind me here, we have, that is where it's actually going on. Okay, there's unrighteousness, there's unholiness going on and endorsed and propagated. That is the problem, that we at the very highest seat, that we don't have someone that stands up for our children. Actually, they do not stand up for our children. That is the problem. Now let me tell you again, don't worry about how many people are here in numbers. We are like David and Goliath. And let me ask you, do you remember who won the day? Was it David or was it Goliath? We know who won. And you know what? We know who wins. We've already read the last page of the book. We already know who wins. God is on his throne. God is in control. All right. We would then continue to be guilty of perpetuating division and causing unwarranted tension or possibly even open hostility. In this condition, we would be unable to direct our mutual energies against the system that put us at odds with each other. Okay? Neither could we address the constructed language and thought patterns that are continually ensuring division. Why is this? Because we will be too busy with our own agenda to realize that we have been deceived into fulfilling our prearranged role in a system designed to divide and conquer us. The system behind me, They want exactly that. They want us to be divided. Let me tell you something. It doesn't matter to me what color you are, what background you are. It doesn't matter to me where you come from. We are this afternoon fighting a common foe. We have a tragedy on our front steps. Our children are being attacked. Our children are attacked in a gruesome way. And we are one in heart and that we are standing against that. Is that correct? All right. So I'm almost finished here. So whatever lifestyle anyone is involved in, says Stephen P. Hargrave writes in his book Hustling Backward, they unequivocally deserve to be treated with love, respect, and human dignity. All right. So the system that we're fighting, called the LGBTQ, I don't know what how many letters of the alphabet it includes, but just a lot of that. So that movement is not just demanding that members of their community be treated as human beings. That's not what they're demanding. Neither is this their primary objective of the movement. It isn't. It is a structured operation which, at its core, demands that we say nothing, do nothing, and believe nothing that is contrary to their way of life. Mind you, I am speaking of the philosophy and agenda of the movement. I am not speaking of every individual who is a part of this community, because it's actually possible that in that group that you saw earlier, it's possible that there's honest, their souls, and they're crying after God, and we want them to be saved. We want them to be rescued out of that. Like I said, it is not an organization for the advancements of human rights. It is a movement for the right to practice certain behaviors and have those behaviors legitimized through legislation, while at the same time demanding that everyone falls in line and says that it's okay. Well, I got news for you. We are not falling in line, and we will never say that that's okay, because it isn't. Civil governments have often withheld rights from their citizens which nature and humanity demand. Civil governments have often extended rights to their citizens which nature and humanity do not. Civil governments grant rights which transgress humanity while removing human rights in the name of civility. God bless you. Thank you for your time.
Wow, I always loved Pastor Hildebrand. That was just inspiring, and that's what we're here for today, is to inspire each other to continue the fight. Paul talked about it being a race, a race that we have to finish. Sometimes that race is difficult. Sometimes that race is arduous. But with his help, we continue, we persevere, we're persistent. And that's what the left hates most about us, is we are persistent, because we do believe. I wanted to make one comment before I introduce our next speaker, but he's actually more of a comedian. Because we want you guys to be feeling good before the march, and that's coming after our next speaker. Before I say that, though, I wanted to highlight some news we all heard yesterday at a federal court deciding that my friends at Rebel News are not real journalists, because they're not reporting the news the way Justin Trudeau wants it reported. It's, that, and Ezra's been a friend of mine for over 20 years. I knew Ezra. We both worked right behind us here. We both worked in the Hill, and I worked at the first Western Standard with Ezra, and he's been a close friend. We worked at Sun News together. So there's no competition between the new media. We all are fighting for the same thing. And to say that somebody like Dave Menzies, who goes out and covers stories the mainstream media won't cover, is not a journalist because he's not doing stuff Justin Trudeau likes, is to me a complete capitulation of justice in this country. These are journalists. These are not news personalities like CBC wants to call them. CBC, what a joke. What a joke. This is an organization that gets $1.3 billion a year of your tax dollars, has paid advertising, and yet is always going in the red but somehow can afford to pay bonuses to the fat cat executives at the top of the organization, including the CEO. And they're always crying the blues, always telling you out of money, they need more of your taxpayer dollars. So I can't wait until the day. And I actually wrote to the CBC for a couple of years. How it was, the token conservative columns. I can't wait for the day when they have to pay their own way, when we defund the CBC, because that to me, and this is something I wrote a policy paper on this about 15 years ago. It's called "Time to Leave Home." The arguments about the arguments for privatizing the CBC. I've been fighting for this issue for years, and to me, this is a litmus test for the next government. They've got to follow through on this, folks. They've got to follow through on the pledge and the promise to privatize, to defund the CBC, because this is crucial to what freedom is about in Canada. We can no longer be subsidizing our news media. We can no longer be paying journalists to tell us what the government wants them to say. So tragedy yesterday. I can't say more about how tragic it is. Our next speaker is going to leave you feeling really good. His name is Greg Wycliffe, and like myself, he has a fantastic YouTube station that I invite you all to watch. And actually, I think ironically, we just invited Greg to come on my show next week, because he is somebody who loves to talk about Bill C-63 as I do. This is the worst, most odious piece of legislation against free speech in the world today. In the world. It is going to make Canada look like a worse formation than the UK is right now, where you've got this jackass of a prime minister, Herr Keir Starmer, I won't call that man sir, not for anything, at war with his own country, putting people in jail for what they say on the internet. And that's what's going to happen in Canada. So our next speaker is going to talk about his dedication. He's a comedian, he's a reporter, a political commentator, and his comedy skits poke fun at the hypocritical government that has garnered millions of views across this country, and I encourage you to be one of them. Right now, Greg is fighting the growing censorship in Canada, like Bill C-63, as we all know, as the Online Harms Act. And if there's one bill you need to fight that one, because it's the linchpin of our freedom. If we lose our freedom of speech, we ain't got any freedom. We lose our democracy. You know, I always say this on my broadcast. Everybody knows the classic 1942 film Casablanca. And the resistance fighter in that movie is a character named Victor Laszlo, played by Paul Heinrich. And he's asked by Rick Blaine, played by Humphrey Bogart, "Why do you keep fighting? What are you fighting for?" And he says, "You might as well ask why we keep breathing. If we stop breathing, we will die. If we stop fighting, the world will die." And that's why I keep fighting, and that's why Greg Wycliffe keeps fighting. Through comedy and education, Greg is fighting against the far-left ideologues in media and politics who try to silence and censor parents who are simply trying to protect their children. So Greg, come on up. We love you.
All right. Give it up for your MC, ladies and gentlemen. How are we feeling? How are we doing?
Great.
Good to see everybody. This is great. You know, a lot of people can feel very demoralized these days that not enough people came out today. But, you know, sometimes maybe we have to take a page out of the book of our political enemies. I personally identify as 10,000 people. So I think this entire group right here identifies as 1 million people. Okay? And you can't say otherwise, or else you're a bigot. That's how it works. I didn't make the rules. Okay? But first of all, just give yourselves a round of applause for being out here today. Okay? Give yourselves a round of applause, because everyone out here on the lawn cares more about children in Canada than the people in that building back there. So good for you. At least somebody cares. And I'm a comedian. I try to make jokes, but to be honest, it's really hard to make jokes about something that is already patently absurd. Okay? Again, using their same rules, I could say that right now. Right now, I'm a woman now. Yeah, just right. Oh my God, it just happened. Oh my God, just a thought popped in my head. Now I'm a woman. You have to call me a woman. If you don't call me ma'am, then I'm gonna get the Human Rights Tribunal against you. It's not funny, ma'am. You'll have to go in there and Greg had a goatee. That's my dead name. Don't call me Greg. He had a goatee. It seemed masculine. I'm not masculine. I'm femme identifying, and on and on. It's crazy. It's crazy. How am I supposed to write a joke about this? Just explain it, right?
Don't tell Danielle Smith that you'll have to go for training.
That's right, Danielle Smith. Don't tell Danielle Smith that. Did you see the struggle session the other day?
How come she screwed up like this? She was a good girl.
I mean, hey, some of these establishment conservatives, I don't know about. They say that they're the people who are going to save us from this insanity where they can't even say man and woman, yet they're getting their own politician on their team to get them go through this struggle session with a transgender person. Say trans women are women. Say it. Say it. Very, very masculine voice, by the way, on this female in the Zoom call. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But yeah, these are supposed to be our conservative all-stars who are going to save us. And I would really like to see a lot more out of Pierre Poilievre. What do you guys think? Where is this guy? Just go on TV and say there's two sexes, men and women, period. He doesn't say that nearly often enough. And then people say, but the media is going to call him a bigot. That's a good thing. Okay, he can't even stand up to the media to say man and woman. If you don't have the courage to say man and woman to the CBC, and you're telling us that you're going to turn this country around, I don't think so. What do you guys think?
It has to get majority control. It has to be strategic, man.
Where's your courage, Poilievre? Where's your courage? Yeah, then again, maybe he doesn't identify as a man anymore. Maybe his balls are gone.
Like the government, they're all talk no action.
But it's crazy because, call me old-fashioned, back in my day, I used to watch this show called The Price is Right with Bob Barker.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And at the end of his show, he would say, get your pets spayed or neutered. And now these days, school teachers are saying, get your kids spayed or neutered. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Where's Bob Barker when you need him? But yeah, guys, it takes a lot of courage to stand up here today for all you to come out, and it really shouldn't. It's literally at the point where 2 + 2 = 5. If you disagree with that, you're going to get attacked. You know, and I started this website, savefreespeech.ca, because they're trying to pass this egregious bill, Bill C-63. I have business cards with me. If you want to learn more, you can go to the website. But we recently published a video called Canada's War on Parents. It's not just school teachers. It's politicians. It's the media. It's CSIS, which is our CIA, our Canadian intelligence services. They're so intelligent that anybody who thinks there's just a man and a woman is considered a violent extremist. Again, how do I make a joke about this when it's already so patently absurd? It's difficult. But I strongly suggest you guys see how deep the rabbit hole goes at savefreespeech.ca. You can check it out at the War on Parents, because there's a network of people who systematically try to make us look like these horrible, hateful people. It's not true. We just believe in basic truths, basic biology. And when it comes to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, for those who don't know, one of the first lines of our charter says the supremacy of God. Okay? And we forget that, or we don't honor that at all. And it's being replaced. It's being replaced with some weird rainbow progressive belief system where there's a whole bunch of different types of genders, and we need to tell kids about that, or else we're bad people. Again, it's so difficult to keep track of the rules. The rules change every single day, and it's completely and patently absurd. But again, hey guys, give yourselves a round of applause for coming out today, okay?
Tell people to watch Gender Wars.
What's Gender Wars?
It's a documentary.
Oh yeah? Okay, cool. We're actually coming out with a documentary at savefreespeech.ca, and it's going to tell the story of different Canadians who are being attacked for their political opinions. Parents, savefreespeech.ca. We're not releasing the name of the documentary yet, but you can check out, you can donate to the documentary on our website at our Gibson Go fundraiser. But the point is there's different groups of Canadians who are under attack right now for simply just their political opinions. After the trucker convoy, for example, people went to jail for what they were saying. And the same thing, people who are standing up for parental rights and for children are being slandered, smeared, and they will do anything to just throw the book at you and try to get you charged simply for your political opinion. This is supposed to be a free country, guys, and it's not. Back in the USSR, yeah, exactly. You know, ever since 2018, we have had government-subsidized media. What does that mean? That means that the CBC is paid for by the government, CTV, government, Global News, government, City TV, government. They all get government funds. This is a characteristic of a authoritarian country. This is the same thing in China, North Korea, Russia. Can we get just a quick boo for that? Boo to Canada and this horribly biased news media. It's unbelievable. And how do you think they cover this issue, this topic? Are they doing any investigative research into the long-term studies of puberty blockers? Let me hear you. No, nothing. Nothing at all. Are they looking into the trend of these poor children who are now detransitioning? No, they're not. Are they looking into, I don't know, are they giving us the fair chance? No, they're not. It is evil what they're doing. It's evil what they're doing. It's horrible. And it's because of people like you that we have a fighting chance to stop this. And it's our duty to continue speaking up and continue speaking out. And we got to keep a lightness of spirit about it, like I said. You know, it can really feel overwhelming at times. It can really feel like there's no options and that there's nothing we can do. But Hildebrand brought up David versus Goliath, and I think that's a very apt comparison. Because God is in control. And we need to have that blind faith that we will win. Because the truth is on our side. The truth is on our side. And you know, if these people can show up and say that trans women are women, surely we can have the bravery to just stand up and say, no, they're not. Do you know how little effort that is? But yet how such a radical statement it is now for some reason in Canada in 2024? This is what makes you a domestic terrorist in Canada in 2024. Trans women are women? No, they're not. That's it. That's all you have to do to be put on a government watch list. It's just say, no, they're not. Trans women are not women. And you know what happened to Danielle Smith's colleague, putting her through this re-education training? That's coming for every single one of us. And even the people who aren't here and think, oh, it's not going to affect me. It's not going to affect me. Who knows? Soon, later, 2 years from now, you'll have some transgender knocking on your door. Say trans women are women. I'm a trans police officer. If you don't say that, then you're going to jail. I know, and it sounds absurd, but that's where things are headed unless more people like us don't stand up. So it's amazing to see all you out here. Make sure you're networking, okay? Make sure you're networking here. Connect with people. Say hello. Break the ice. Get to know one another. Maybe you live nearby. There is two ways to look at this. There's changing it from the top down and from the bottom up. And both of them work, okay? You can make a small effort. The media is so good at convincing people that you have no power. And that's just patently not true. You know why I know that's not true? Because the second that one person speaks up and says, no, they're not, trans women aren't women, they get attacked by the media. There's people on top of them constantly saying, don't say that, don't do that. If you're so powerless and you have no power, then why is the media crashing down on you the second that one person stands up and says something? The truth is, they're terrified. They're terrified more people are going to stand up and say, hands off our kids. Leave our kids alone. You are a lying, evil scumbag. And if you haven't noticed, the people who say that most aggressively are the ones that get put on CSIS watch lists. But give yourselves another round of applause for your courage. You guys are on the right side of history, okay? And that's a lot to feel good about. And yeah, just once again, I made the joke of a transgender cop showing up to to put you through a struggle session. But they're presenting legislation with Bill C-63 that is that absurd. Okay, to give you a little taste, they want to make detestation, to detest something, criminal hate speech. The definition of detestation is intense dislike. So if you intensely dislike something, sometimes I intensely dislike the Toronto Maple Leafs, but for example, I don't want to split the crowd here, but as an example, technically, that could get you charged with criminal hate speech. This language is so broad, and it would be so easy to use this legislation, to use it against all of us for offending trans people, bullying trans kids. There's so much terrible stuff in this legislation, and if it passed, it would be the end of free speech in Canada. So if you want to learn more, you can go to sayfreespeech.ca. But the point is this battle is far from over. But it's actually really easy to fight back. Because all you have to do is not give in to the fear. Calmly step forward, take a breath, and say, trans women are women? No, they're not. Oh, you think I'm a transphobe? You think I'm a homophobe? I think you're enabling pedophiles. Okay, that's what I think you're doing. I think that's way worse. And by all intents and accounts, it is way worse. We are the ones protecting children, not them. Are you kidding me? There is one more joke that I wrote, but it's a little off color. So brace yourselves. But when I was at this protest last year, I had a chance to confront the Rainbow Mob people. And I had one question for them. What's a trans kid? What's a trans kid? Is a trans kid like they were born a trans kid, or when the kid decided that they were the opposite gender, then were they born first a trans or they became a trans? The second you start to talk about it, it makes no sense. But I do have an answer for who is a trans kid, or what is a trans kid. I don't know if I can say it, it's so inappropriate. But a trans kid is unfortunately a kid that makes a pedophile rock hard. Okay, I know that's horrible, but let's think about this. I mean, if there's anybody who is going to expose a child to grooming, it's a trans kid. It's the perfect equation for a pedophile to groom a child. Oh, we identified the trans kids in school. Great, they probably have mental issues. They probably don't have support at home. We're going to fill their heads with all sorts of words that they can Google online so we can find them. They are priming children to be victims of sexual predators. So I just want to emphasize that. Do not be afraid of being called a bigot or a transphobe or a homophobe. Because do you think the pedophiles are on this side of the fence? No. They're over there and they're having a great time, and they're the most hateful and deceitful ones. And if you want to do research, and I know it's uncomfortable to talk about pedophiles, but guess what, guys? They're not unicorns. They're real. They're out there, okay? And they seek power positions. If you do the research, if you look at the type of people that become pedophiles, it's. I know it's an uncomfortable subject, but let's be real here, okay? They seek out power positions, and they are very deceitful, very sociopathic, and without a doubt, they are hiding behind that rainbow flag. And I know that, you know, the other side will say, oh, he's being hateful, he's trying to call all gays pedophiles. You know that's not true. The point is, listen to your heart and know that you are the one protecting children. You are the one who is in the right. Don't be intimidated by these stupid slurs and labels of transphobe, homophobe. No. Okay? I'm against the worst of the worst kind of evil, which is pedophilia. Can I get a round of applause, please? Okay? Like, come on. So that was supposed to be my my comedy. But yeah, like I said, it's hard to make jokes about this when it's so patently absurd and there's so much evil going on. It's really not funny. But like I said, I identify as a woman. They have to respect that. So if they do attack me, it's their problem, and I'm gonna get the Human Rights Court involved. But guys, thank you so much for having me. If you want to learn more about SaveFreeSpeech.ca, Bill C-63, or the Warren parents, come say hello. I got some business cards information for you. I'm also live streaming as well, so if you want to hop on my live stream, say while you're down here, then come seek me out. I would love to chat with you. And again, give yourselves a round of applause for being on the right side of history and protecting Canadian kids.
What's the channel, right? What's the channel?
I'll give it to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg. That was great. So nice. It's nice to have this important message delivered sometimes in a lighter way, because we do tend, I think, to get navel gazing, and we need to look upwards because our salvation does draw nigh. And these are hard times for a lot of Canadians, not just economic, but we wonder sometimes where the country's going. And we're going to be going on a march very, very shortly. And they wanted us to go down O'Connor Street, but people said, no, we're going to go past the tomb of the unknown soldier. How many veterans do we have here today? I was in Bosnia. I spent 12 years in the Royal Canadian Air Force, Royal again. And some of the proudest years of my life. I'm not sure I could wear that uniform today with the way wokeism has contaminated and infected our military to the degree now that we have tampons in the men's room. And we've got the current chief of defense staff is an equity hire who is there because she supported all of the social transformation that's gone on in the Canadian Armed Forces. But we're going to be walking past the tomb of the unknown soldier in the cenotaph, because we as Canadians are proud Canadians, and we're proud of our veterans, and we're proud of those who serve Canada overseas and at home, for wearing the uniform and for defending freedom. And I tell you, I used to sit every Remembrance Day when I was in uniform. I'd sit down with the veterans, the local veterans. I grew up in Comox, and I served in Comox for most of my Air Force career, British Columbia. And I would sit with the veterans, and I would talk about their heroism, which they always said was nothing. We were just doing our jobs. But the things they did were sometimes superhuman. The things they did were heroic, because they believed in the Canada to fight for, to come back for, to raise their families in. Because most of these people were young men who still had lives ahead of them. Those who survived still had lives ahead of them, marriages ahead of them, children to raise ahead of them. And they came back because they believed, and they fought because they believed in this country called Canada, because they believed it was one of the greatest countries on earth. It was one of the freest countries on earth. And I often think about those men today, so many that were gone now. But what would they think about what has happened to their Canada? And why we have this clown named Justin Trudeau leading us to the abyss. I'll tell you what, we're going back. We are going back from the abyss, because we are stronger in numbers, because we know, as Greg said, we have history on our side, and as Pastor Hildebrand said, we have God on our side. So thank you all for being here. We're going to be marching soon. Don't go away after the march. We're coming back for a couple of more speakers. We have Jim Ferguson. A lot of you know from his appearances on my show, I hope, but he's also been on Redacted quite a bit. And of course, Camille Elsheikh, the organizer and the founder of Hands Off Our Kids, the guy who has done so much to make this happen again this year. He will be speaking when we come back. So we're going to get organized for the march. Stay tuned. Thank you for being here so far. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. Okay, I am back. Now, we're going on the march soon. If anyone would like a small sign or large sign, that'll be great, because we do want to be seen. This city is so asleep and so woke at the same time. So, anything you like, you can borrow, and then bring it back afterwards, or leave it with someone who will be coming back. So please help yourself. We do want to get noticed. Hold it up, hold it proud, and be loud. Thank you. Oh, any sign is fine. You're welcome. We have to be seen. So everyone stay tight, close together, watch each other's back. Watch out for any persons who might sneak up behind you and snatch your sign, because that has happened to me many times. Yeah, watch each other's back. Yeah, string. I have string too if you want to hang it around your neck. Help yourself. What's your favorite sign? Yeah, let's get moving. Anybody for signs, come, please get them now. Or you can keep it together. Return it. You could put string around it and then put it in front. Do you like string?
All right, my brothers and sisters, welcome. We are almost ready to march. Almost ready. We're starting to form together. Everyone joining together. Get as close together as possible. We're going to start right down here on Wellington Street, and we're going to make our way down the street, around the corner, around the block, and back. We're about to go. So pick up a sign. Everyone gathering together as close together as possible. We're starting here, we're going down there. So we're going to start down at the street. Everyone's starting to go down to Wellington Street. You're going to grab one of Howard's signs. When you get down there, there's a pile of flags with hockey sticks. You can grab a flag, you can grab a sign. We are going to walk through the streets and show them how we do it. We're going to have happy, smiling faces, very strong, straight spines, and we're going to have the vision for the future. We're all going to stick together. It's time for us all to now stick together. When we come back after the show, we'll be hearing from some other people talking about Fismus Fraud. You can pick up a book over here. There are going to be other speakers. Camille is going to speak after the march. We are coming back here, and now we're going to pick up the sign, pick up a flag, go to the street, and we're going to start the march. Marching is next. Everybody to the street. Starting on Wellington Street, going down Wellington Street to Elgin, down Elgin, and making a turn, right turn, all the way back around, making a big square all the way
Yeah. No. Sorry about that, folks. All right, here we go. So, yeah, we're gonna go for a march around Ottawa here. Probably a small one, wherever the police tell us to go, we can go. It would be kind of nice if, like the one time that we went for a march with the people actually decided to have a family. That was pretty interesting. Sorry, there's not much. Try to, here. Oh, yeah, gotta get our other thing. It's so bright today, I'm not struggling so more on protest. Pro Home, home, go home. Don't worry. You're gonna let them infiltrate next time. They'll infiltrate as well. That's just fun. If you believe that Canada's parents can parent Canada's kids, then you need to go to
God's kids are not for sale. Repent, receive Jesus now. Do what's right by God. Keep your hands off of mutilating babies. In Jesus' name.
Hands off our kids! 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 United will never be defeated! The people united will never be defeated! The people united will never be defeated! The people united will never be defeated! Ladies and gentlemen, handsoffourkids.ca. Get onto your phones. I know you have phones. Get on those phones right now. We are being censored by Mr. Joe. I need you to go on handsoffourkids.ca.
Protect the children.
Hands-off-our-kids.ca, guys. Go on your cell phone, go find that paper, please.
As parents, we know you love your kids. We trust in Canada's parents to parent Canada's kids. At least up until the age of 19, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to give you an extra year.
Protect the children.
From inception, right from the
Thank you for listening to us. We're sorry we disturbed you a little bit by your lunch, but we just want to say one thing. Hands off our kids! Hands off our kids! Hands off our kids!
Hands off our kids!
There's a lot of opposing parents here. that are missing the event today because they have a family member that passed away. But they wouldn't miss it for the world. They're still here, ladies and gentlemen. Hands off our kids.ca. Please do it now. Justin Trudeau, shame on you. On all of them, my guy. Hands off our kids.ca. You need to register. We are now a not-for-profit organization. Please, we need your help. We're looking for volunteers. Hands off our kids.
My children. Are we get them our children? Are we? What do we say to a person like this? Hands off our kids! 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 Hands off our kids!
Ladies and gentlemen, we are also on Facebook. Hands off our kids. We only have 3,000 because a lot of our groups were hijacked by government flesh. The people united. Oh, yeah, the guys